This is Strategies for a Better Life, episode 4. Betty Schouten interviews Hans-Peter Visser. He is the CEO of Analytical Solutions
And products.
And Hans-Peter is really an interesting person, not only for the business, but also for his personal life. He is really outstanding and has great ideas. Hello, Hans-Peter.
Hi Betty, thank you for having me in the show. It's a pleasure to be here. And thanks for the flattering introduction.
Yes, welcome. We know each other how many years?
I think nearly 15.
Nearly 15 years. Yeah. And in that time we spoke each other and you told me about your plans for your company. And of course we're talking about health and well-being. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, my name is Hans-Peter, but I go by the name of HP. I'm 55, nearly 65, 56 I must say. I'm an entrepreneur. So I started ASAP with a formal companion, and 2013 I bought him out, and the first thing I did was hire a general manager, because general manager is a profession. I don't like it, so I'm not good in it. I'm more on the entrepreneurial side of it, and I like to develop new things in my profession, analytical things. So that resulted 2 years ago in a new company, Houston-based company called PET64, which is now running. It's a nice company despite the crisis. We last month we moved to a bigger facility, so we're growing. With ASAP we are growing, and meanwhile I have a hobby, building boats and designing furniture with a friend. So we created Mara Creations. It started as a hobby, but now getting a serious company. And what I'm doing there is developing new ideas, using new technologies where there is no time, by either PET or ASAP. And you have to think about 3D printing of stainless steel, building houseboats, converting warehouses, industrial warehouse, to a combination for living and working. That's what I found. That is the beauty. What I learned the last years. The beauty of crisis is that you determine for yourself what is really important. And what is really important for me is designing and creating. That's my passion.
That's your passion. That's where you were made for, not only doing the business but creating.
Yes, correct. And the business is financing all the hobbies, as we say.
Yes. You have to make yourself free from your business. That's a lot of entrepreneurs. They work in the business, and they think they are how do you say it?
They can't do it without them.
Yes.
And I'm the opposite. It's funny that you mention it. Is one of my personal goals is to make myself redundant, and that is what we have done within ASAP. So I have I think one of the best general managers, CEOs, which is Michael van der Zee. He's one of my best friends, but he's also CEO of ASAP. And he is running the company. He is also CEO of PET64, by the way. And it allows me to spend time on the things that makes me happy, and where I can contribute also for both companies, for all three companies actually. So that is the beauty of making yourself redundant. It is sometimes also a little bit scary because they don't need you anymore. But on the other hand, once you get used to it, it gives a lot of freedom, and that's exactly what I need, because it creates new energies and which create new ideas.
Yes. And it's really interesting what you say because you look very courageous just by doing it. So admitting it's also scary because
Yeah.
a lot of people are having their confidence because of what they are doing or their position, and that's now different when you create.
Yes.
How do you keep up your creation and your spirit? Do you have strategies or rituals which help you to stay in a good state?
Yes. And they are changing over time because now I have a tremendous good incentive, which is I am facing a knee surgery soon, so I have to be in perfect shape. My condition, my well-being, my nutrition, that's very important for me because nutrition and it all has to do with energy, and energy is creation. So I'm that is my whole strategy, and of course I eating French fries and mayonnaise and hamburgers and so on. But at least I create awareness. I know when I'm eat not the proper food. And to be honest, I feel it the next day. I'm paying the price the next day,
Yeah.
and it's good. You know it is. You know that it happened, and it's life. That you can't be always on top of the mountain. You have to go.
No, you have to celebrate or
Yeah.
just let it go sometimes.
Let it
But
go.
most of the time, it's good to have a healthy habit. So it's a no-brainer. You don't have to think, am I going to do this or that? It's a way of living. Do you
Yeah.
recognize that?
Yeah, and it's creating new habits. And one of the things I learned the last year is do meditation, and I do it my way, and that is starting with breathing, and then the breathing exercise, and then sitting in silence, and it can be 2 minutes, it can be 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't care, as long as it is working for me, and everybody has his own ritual. So I'm an early bird, and I like my time in the morning.
Yes.
That is my creative time, and what I recognize is then when I take my time for myself and just meditate and then or sitting still, whatever you want to call it. Then later on the ideas pops up, and that's beautiful, and it helps.
It's great that you say that because I talk a lot and I listen a lot to all the stories of the CEOs and the real creative persons, and it's almost for everybody. I love my time early in the morning.
Yeah.
Yesterday I talked to Reggie Watts and he said the same. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every morning, Sunday, holiday, and that's the creative time. And
it's like the body recognize it because I don't have to set the alarm clock.
No.
I have an internal alarm
Yeah.
clock, and goes off at 6 o'clock. Sometimes a little bit earlier, but typically at 6.
I recognize it. Yeah. So the free time in the morning, the space where the silence where your ideas grow. I know, of course, energy is really interesting because it asks another energy from creating, which is more phosphor, to building, like the need calcarea. How do you transform your illuminated ideas to something you can see or you can build? Do you have a process for that, or is it natural? What's your? We call it the Johan Cruyff strategy because you have the great ideas and you have to do them as well.
Yeah, it's funny that you ask it. To be honest, I don't know, and I, I'm so wealthy because I've 24 hours in a day. I've spare time, or at least that's how I feel. Most often, sometimes I have a deadline, but I try to avoid those. And so it means typically during hours, after lunch, then is the more hands-on hours that you from an ID. It gives me in the morning when I at the company I'm reflecting my ideas to others to see how they think about it, and then this whole creation process is starting, and then I'm more from the practical side. How can I build it? And then I'm looking to new technologies. And like I said, with the 3D metal printing, it was on my list for a long time. And there was quite some reluctance in the companies. Also, a lack of time, of course. And then I believe it was 2 years ago, around Christmas, I invited a teacher, and I said to my colleagues, invite your friends and your kids. So we had a training session of 8 times by a lecturer of Kevin, and he was teaching about 3D printing, about all the rules you have to apply to it. And the funny thing is, now I'm hiring him with Mara Creations, so he's one of my co-workers, and he transformed my ideas to products. So I have a staff in Amsterdam, a staff in Houston, and now also a staff in New-Vennep, because it fits perfectly between Houston.
Yeah, that is great.
New-Vennep of all places. It's
yeah, and what it's amazing with 3D printer, because when you have an idea and you mail it, and it doesn't matter where the printer is, you can make it.
Yeah.
Or is that too simple?
Yeah. That is like we always say in PowerPoint, everything works, and you have to apply some rules. And hey, we have in ASAP we have an FUP museum, and recently we have printed something which has a perfect spot in there as well. But the thing is, you should be persistent, because I have an idea and I want to achieve it. And the first time it cost money, we failed. Now we know why we failed, and we had the wrong partner, and so we had to look for another partner and carry on. And to give you an idea, that was also with Pat. I started there in late 2015, because I always had the ambition to start in the US. And then with ASAP, we made the decision to create our own products, and we want to become market leader on the LNG measurement, measuring the energy content of it.
Can you tell me, for the right brainers, what that is? like me?
Yeah, I will try to tell it. LNG stands for liquefied natural gas, and the whole idea of making LNG, so in the liquid phase, you cool it down till minus 162 degrees Celsius and it becomes a liquid. And the whole idea of making a liquid, because you have to transport gas from country A to country B. So once it is a liquid, it reduces in volume. So you can approximately get 660 times more volume in a cargo tanker in the liquid phase. But as you know, probably know, natural gas is hydrocarbons and a little bit of nitrogen, but they have all different physics. But if I'm selling you natural or LNG or natural gas, the payment is based on the energy content, so you have to measure that. And the problem with LNG is, with this extreme low temperatures, it has a very strange boiling point. So the problem is, it starts to boil already when I want to measure it. Before I want to measure it, and you get misreading, you get a lot of uncertainty in your measurements. So our development is what we've done, and what we have patented is that we can measure it very accurately, and that's where we now start to conquer the world.
And who are your customers?
That are the big ones. We have now Shell, Eni. We are now working for in Cheniere in the US, Venture Global, but also in Qatar. That was former Rasgas, which is now Qatar Gas. Petronas,
All the big,
all the
yeah.
big players.
And can I say this is typical a Dutch invention to spare money or to see what you pay for, or
No,
is
no,
that
no, no.
too simple?
That is too simple. But it is funny how it was developed, because that was a real Dutch. When I started ASAP, we started from the Shell R&D center in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and in 2007 I was invited by Shell at the LNG workshop in Malaysia, Bintulu in Malaysia, and I was allowed to give a presentation about measurement technologies, and then during the evening we had all dinner together and some beers with all the Dutchies. It was literally a round table. And then that was the first time I was introduced about the impact of the uncertainty, high uncertainty on the measurement, and what kind of values were attached to those uncertainties, and it was enormous. And that was then I made the decision on the table to say, okay, now I'm going to develop something.
Yes. So you really need your analytical brain and your sensory acuity to make the decision and to be successful. That's the good combination you have.
And one other thing.
And a beer.
No. I'm not drinking that much. No, the fun factor of it.
Okay.
That do I want to do it? Sometimes there is a nice opportunity business-wise, but I don't like it, and I'm not going to do it. So, if the fun factor is very important for me, because that is the real drive. Because no matter what, how brilliant the idea is, you will have resistance, and then it's the fun factor what keeps you going.
I can relate to that. That's
okay.
For me also very important. On one hand, working really with high integrity and doing the best you can, and without fun, it's nothing. So,
but they can cope together very
yeah.
well. So.
Yeah. And when we talk about strategies for a better life, are you living your better life, or are there dreams or wishes or turning points because of the crisis which are important for you?
I believe crisis is always good. That is, and it sounds strange, but I had a personal crisis, divorce, and it was good. It makes you at the end, not when you are in it, but it's the same. When I divorced from my former companion, at that time we were seeing each other a lot, and when you are in the middle of the storm, it's always painful.
Definitely.
But at the end, it is better for the two parties, and it is now as well. And so I'm living my life, because what it brought me is that I start thinking about what is really important for me. That I was first of all was creating my values, and of course I knew my values, but I never wrote them down. And now I really wrote them down, and I'm living according to my values. And sometimes there is a contradiction, and the beauty about it is okay. We have an expression in the company is, if you have to make a hard decision and you ask yourself, okay, if I'm tomorrow with my face in the newspaper early in the morning, am I still going to do it? If the answer is yes, okay, go for it. If you're doubting, don't do it. And that's very helpful to do it that way. But coming back to your question, I know what my passion is, what I want. I'm working now on living on the water, like a Dutchman, of course. How obvious. But there is a big challenge here. Although there is a lot of water, there is not a lot of choice, and now you have to think out of the box. And I have some ideas where I'm working on, and that is the beauty is the road to it. And that is actually, now that we're discussing, I'm enjoying more and more the road I'm walking or sailing or whatever you want to call it. And in the past I was more focused on the dot on the horizon. That's where I want to go as fast as possible, and now I'm enjoying it.
It's quite a difference.
It's day and night difference, to be honest.
Yes.
And then so that with that you create a better life. I always say I have the most magnificent life you can imagine. I used to travel a lot. Now with the corona I can't, of course, but still it's okay. You know that is although it's tempting to travel, but you normally what I typically do is once per month traveling to Houston, and everybody's it's so hard, 10 hours in the plane, and it's 10 hours me time in the plane, and then on the way back I was flying back via Bonaire, where we can windsurf, and just for a couple of days, and then hey, how beautiful do you want to have it?
Yes, these are the strategies for a better life.
Yeah.
To be courageous, early bird, taking the ideas into practical solutions, and have the courage to source yourself out. I don't know if the good
to make yourself redundant. But the next step is where I'm working is the youth, and that is where Mala is creating a man's cave. And if you see my youngest son, he's like a nutty professor. He's brilliant, but I try to emphasize to motivate young people to be creative as well. So last week I was invited to give a guest lecture on the Hogeschool of Nijmegen and Arnhem about my profession, and I love to do that. And this time, of course, it was via Teams. But the beauty is you always have a couple of people who are interested, and now 2 people are going to visit ASAP as well. And hey, maybe they are my new colleagues of tomorrow. And maybe with even better ideas than we have. So who knows? And the funny thing was, I was asking, okay, it was a 2-hour lecture. I want to have something in return. And what have you learned from it? That was the question. One of the questions. How does it contribute in your life, and how can I perform better? And the biggest compliments I got was the passion. They said, well, despite it was behind a PC, but they said, well, it is the passion which you show, which is very attractive to people. And as long as I maintain passion, hey, that's the most important thing in life that you can achieve. And
yes, and definitely for our children, to reach them and to show them what it's all about, not only learning.
Correct.
It's the feeling out. It's I think that's really the children, the youth. They need that. They need that. They are drying up sometimes with teachers, which are so. Not all the teachers, but to be.
It's more the system, I believe. Yeah. It's but also we as adults. So my youngest Rick is a perfect example. As a parent, we were brainwashed as well. That go to learn, and the higher the education, the better. This little guy is brilliant. He was going from Atheneum to HAVO, and now he's MAVO. And his wish is that I want to work with my hands. So to give you an idea, typically in the holidays he was in his bed till 1 o'clock, which seems to be normal for that group of teenagers. Now he's working, but he's working in the factory instead of working with these. He wants to drill. He wants to create something with his hands, and then it's up to a parent to say, okay, what makes him happy, and not what makes me happy.
That's the wisdom as a parent.
Yeah. And that's because as a parent you want to have the maximum, and now I'm thinking, hey, who cares if that makes him happy, and he is his intelligence is very high, so he will find out.
Definitely.
And it is. But the beauty is then I had the same. I did evening college because I was much more motivated at that time, and perhaps Rex is having the same or not. Hey, as long as he is happy, my task is completed then, and then it's your life, and that is as a parent. But of course, I want to give them all I got. And that is sometimes it's hard.
The receiver isn't working all the time. I know that.
That is one of the most difficult jobs I ever had is being a father because there is no education for.
Definitely, yeah.
But sometimes I must admit I'm laying in my bed the last month and it gives me a warm feeling of true happiness that you see a small child with a smile from ear to ear and that I have to say 12 o'clock, Eric, you have to quit now. And he's making his own game machine, you can buy it in the store and he said, well, no, it's a waste of my money, I make it myself. Yeah, and then the only thing I have to do is smile and enjoy. So that is.
You must be very, very proud.
I am. Yes.
And I know you have to let it go sometimes, or the conflict with yourself, or sometimes it's hopeless, the children. And when you let it go with the creation, it's the most beautiful creation there is.
The beauty is what I learned there is. What you should do is as a parent, or what I want to do as a parent is creating that he find his passion, and then it's done. And it's then there's more guidelines.
He will talk with you all the time. That's nice. That's what you create now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for this interesting story. Your story about creating the life you have, the challenges. Thank you very much for your openness and the strategies for a better life. Everybody has his own strategy, and I know Hans-Peter, I think a lot of people can relate to him, how to make yourself free, how to take care of your health and create it your own way, because there is no recipe for your life. That's what you are making, your own decision. And if you get healthy, you get the ideas, you get the healthy ideas, and that's one of the strategies for a better life. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
It was really great to talk to you like this.
Great. Thank you.